My name is Shreya Singh and this is my final assignment demo for the OOP module. In this demo, I shall fill out this form provided by the university, answer all the questions, and show and run my code as needed. Requirement 1. LBO Graphics jar file has been properly added to project. As you can see here in my reference libraries, the LBO Graphics jar file has been added properly. Project contains main class Java and sets up LBO Graphics correctly by extending LBO Graphics, which has been done here. As you can see, my turtlegraphics.java extends LBO Graphics, and in my main class, I've created an object of turtlegraphics. Correctly call LBO Graphics about method. If I call the about method in my main class.java, the moment I run the code, the turtle animation starts playing. Main class.java has a main method which creates an object of turtlegraphics.java, and then all further processing is done from this object. As you can see, my main class only creates an object T of turtlegraphics, and everything else, all the processing is done within that object. The about method is called, and OOP animation appears when user types about into the text field. Here's the code for it right here in my process command. When the command is about, the about method is called. So if I type in about into this text area, the animation starts to play. Requirement 2 is command support to check whether all my commands are working as intended or not. The first command is pen down. We'll see if it works in a moment when I do my move command. So if I type in move 100, as you can see, a line has now been drawn, which means both my pen down and move command work. Now for reverse. If I type in reverse 100, the turtle is now back in where it started. The code for my pen down command is over here. It basically sets the pen state to false. For my move and reverse command, it's basically the same for both of them. If no parameters are found, it displays a message missing distance. And if the parameter is provided, but if it's a negative value, then it gives the message distance must be a positive number. And then it just calls the forward method from LBO Graphics. For move, it's left as is, and for reverse, it's made into its negative self. Now for the left and right commands. The code for both of them are right here. So if you type in left, and if you don't enter any parameters, it just calls it without any parameters, and it rotates 90 degrees to the left. If you do enter a parameter though, it will rotate the intended amount of degrees. Same goes for right command, except it calls the right method instead. For both of these, if the value of the degrees is less than 0 or greater than 360, displays the message degrees must be between 0 and 360. So left 90, move 100. Sorry. Move 100. and then right 90, move 100. As you can see, they both work. Now for the pen up command, the code is right here. It's basically the same as pen down. It sets the pen state to true. So pen up, pen up, and then right 90 and move 100. So now as the question dictates, the turtle is at the left hand side of the bottom left side of the N shape and is pointing left. Now for the color commands. The pen is already red, so first I will set it to blue. The color is a bit difficult to see with the black background, but the line drawn is blue. Now if I type in green and then move 100, the line is now green. I also have a white one. And as you can see, the line is now white. There's also a black color, but since you won't really see it with the background, it's pretty pointless to use right now. I'll still show it. But it can't really be seen on the black background. The code for all the colors are here. So as you can see, black, blue, green, red, and white. They all call the set pen color method from LBU Graphics, and basically just sets it to whatever color you've chosen. Now for the clear command. When I enter clear, now the turtle is still where it was at the far left of the clear display. The code for clear is over here. This is basically to check whether the image has been saved or not. It just calls the normal clear method from LBU Graphics. For reset, let's type in right and then move 100. Oh wait, my pen is still black. Let's set it to red and then move 100. The red line has been drawn. Now if I type reset, the turtle position is reset to where it was in the beginning, but the line still remains. The red line still remains right here. The code for the reset command is over here. It just calls the LBU Graphics reset method. Requirement 3, validating commands. So the program should be able to report invalid commands. So if I type in something like XXXX, as you can see, a message is displayed that it is not a recognized command, and please refer to the command list over here. It also should detect valid commands with missing parameters. So if I type in move and don't enter any parameters, as you can see, it displays the message missing distance. It also should detect non-numeric parameters. So if I type in move XXX, invalid number format, please try again. It should also be able to bound parameters. So it can't pass negative numbers or excessively large numbers. For example, if I type in move minus 100, for example, the distance must be a positive number. all of these error handlings are done here. So basically each, if it's a negative value for move or reverse, as you can see, it just throws an exception missing of like distance must be a positive number. If there is no parameter given, it's missing distance. Same here for the square, triangle, circle commands. And basically the exception is caught here, and then the display message method is caught with whatever message it was thrown, and it's also appended to the command history area. And then if the number format exception is found, so for example a negative number, it's invalid number format, please try again. Sorry, not if negative, if it's a negative number, it's right over here. It's this one, it throws a message. This number format exception is for when a string was passed instead of a number. So when we typed in move xxx. And for bound parameters, an example would be over here in left and right commands. As you can see, the value of degree must not be less than 60 or greater than less than 0 or greater than 360 for both left and right. And the color codes are also bounded similarly, except it's between 0 and 255. And invalid commands are caught here. So if it doesn't match any of the given cases, the default case will just display the message that the typed in command is not a recognized command. Requirement 4, saving and loading. So basically, if we were to draw something, for example, and if I were to save this image, so my save command allows me to save both the commands as well as the drawing. So it's basically saved over here. As you can see, the drawing can be opened up in both here and using Paint. And commands are saved in a txt file over here. So both these are met, or both these requirements have been met. Now for loading, I could load image, and then I get to choose one of these drawings. So let's choose this one for now, and this is loaded up. The previous image that was there was cleared out and then loaded. This new one has been loaded. And we can also load commands by simply typing in load and then choosing one of these commands to load. Basically, loading the commands just processes each line of the txt file and then calls the process command method for each of them. So they're all still being added right here, as you can see. The reason that happened was because it was safe. So all of them, all the commands were loaded here too, if you notice. So if I add something else to this drawing, but then decide to clear it, before clearing the display, it asks me if I want to save my current image before clearing. If I click yes, I get the save drawing option once again. But similarly, if I just click no or cancel, it just clears it. This is the same one. Override the about method so that it still does the same. Wait, the code for my save and load commands are right here. As you can see, they just call the methods that I've defined. Down here, this is my save commands method. It creates a JFile chooser, which then allows the user to go through their folders, and I've created a separate folder within the workspace itself over here called Turtle Files, which is my save folder, and so the user will have to save it over there. And it basically just takes each thing from the array that stores all the commands that have been written down so far and saves them in a txt file. Load commands first asks if the previous image hasn't been saved, it asks if the user would like to save it, and then if they click yes, the save commands is called. If not, they just simply continue on to load the commands and clear the display. So as you can see, the user gets to choose which file they would like to open. The display is cleared, the turtle position is reset, and then line by line, the txt file is read and each command is processed over here. Once everything is done, it displays the message, commands loaded successfully. Otherwise, if it wasn't successful, then error loading commands. Save image, it's pretty much the same as my save commands method, except it saves it as a PNG, and the image must be a buffered image, the same type that the LBU graphics used for their console. So basically it just gets the image from the PNG file and then pastes it over the display, I suppose. And if it's successful, it displays the message image saved successfully, else it saves error saving image. Load image, pretty much the same. The user gets to choose one of their files from the save folder, and then it reads it as a buffered image and then sets it. Override the about method so that it still does the same dance but appends a message that contains your name. Show in your code, show the new about method working. So basically I've overridden the about method here, keeping all of its elements from the superclass, and then just added my own display message and extended by Shreya. So when I type in about, it performs the animation. And then here it says extended by Shreya. Implement a square length method. So my square method is over here, draw square. It takes a length from the user, and this is basically, it runs in a loop and draws 4 lines while turning 90 degrees each time so that it makes a square. Regardless of whether the pen is up or down, it basically makes the pen down, and then once it's done, it sets it back to whatever it was before. So here, if I type in square 100, a square is then drawn. Next is a pen command that creates a new color. So over here you can see the code. It takes 3 values from the user, RGB values, and then creates a new color and mixes those RGB values. So if I were to type in pen and then 2550255 and then move 100. Sorry, I didn't click pen up, pen down. It's a bit hard to see, but the color did change to magenta. Once again, if I type in pen and then 2552550 and then move 100. So you can see it's now a yellowish color. It's a bit hard to see with one stroke when it's so, as you can see, it's a yellow color. So that was the code for that. And then also there's some error handling over here, where basically the RGB values must be between 0 and 255. Otherwise the exception is caught, and the message RGB values must be between 0 and 255 is displayed. Similarly, if 3 parameters were not provided alongside the command, missing RGB values, the message is displayed. Next is a pen width command that alters the pen width for further drawing operations. The code is over here. Basically, if there is no parameter given, then the message missing width is displayed. Otherwise, it basically just calls the set stroke method from LBU graphics alongside the parameter. So if I were to type pen width and then 10, and then move 100. It's much bigger now, if you can see. Now for triangle size command, it has to draw an equilateral triangle. So triangle 100. Let me move it back to its original position and try again so it's better seen. As you can see, the equilateral triangle has been drawn. Next, it needs a further triangle command that specifies 3 sides that draws any triangle. So I've created that method over here. So this is my draw equilateral triangle method, which basically is similar to my square method. It just repeatedly draws a line and then turns certain 120 degrees to a left before drawing another line. My draw triangle method takes 3 parameters indicating 3 sides, and then it calculates the degrees, the angles, using the cosine law, and then it draws a line and then turns specified angle, draws another line, and then turns again, and then draws the last line. So if I were to clear this display again, and then reset my position, and triangle 70, 120, 125, let's say. As you can see, a triangle has been drawn. We could also do triangle 90, 90, and then 70, maybe. And another triangle has been drawn with different parameters. It's a bit off because of this. Since we have to convert into an integer, the values of the angles aren't completely accurate. So a bit of accuracy is lost there. The program decides which method to call depending on the number of parameters provided. So if no parameters are provided, it says missing size. If the value of that parameter is negative, it says size must be a positive number. If it's only one parameter is detected, then it calls the equilateral triangle method. If 3 parameters are detected, it calls the draw triangle method. Else it says that it's an invalid triangle parameters. Some stuff I added that weren't specified in the marking scheme were the polygon, circle, and dance commands. So basically these 3, circle, and then polygon and dance. So for circle, as long as there's one parameter provided of radius, it calls the circle method from LBU graphics. Polygon command requires number of sides as well as their length. So basically it takes side and length and calls my own draw polygon method, and dance calls the dance method from LBU graphics. My polygon method is down here. So basically the number of sides must not be less than 3, and then it just calculates angles and does the same thing as my triangle and square method. So circle 100. My bad, I didn't put the pen down. Circle 100. Draws a perfectly round circle. And then if I were to type in polygon, if I wanted to draw a pentagon, I would do 5 and then length maybe 50. And the pentagon has now been drawn. And then dance command, it requires how many moves you want. So if I do 10 moves, it basically just dances. I've also added UI elements to allow the user to customize their experience, as well as a pop-up command list. So the pop-up command list is over here. It basically lists out all the commands you could type into it. Over here you can choose whether you want your background to be light or dark. But you have to choose this before drawing because it also clears the display. Over here you can choose what type of cursor you want. So there's the turtle, an orc, an ellipse, a dot, and if you want nothing, there's that too. Here you can decide what pen width you would like or pen stroke you would like. So basically, this is 1. This is 5. This is 10. This is 15. And this is 20. As I said before, if you do light or dark afterwards, it clears the display as well. So that was all for my demo. Thank you.